Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to USA Basketball's men's national team head coach press conference. My name is Jason Jackson. Welcome to the Heat's house. I am the television host and radio voice for the Miami Heat. It's my absolute pleasure on behalf of USA Basketball to welcome you here to our building and have this fantastic announcement today. I'm excited to be joined by USA Basketball men's national team managing director Grant Hill and Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra. Erik's family is here, his sister Monica with us today, his children Shago, Dante, and Ruby as well. I'd like to acknowledge officials from USA Basketball. CEO Jim Tolley is with us today, as well as USA Basketball men's national team director Sean Ford. Grant, it's all yours. Take it over.
All right, thank you, Jason, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. Certainly want to give a special thank you and a shout out to Nick Harrison and his lovely parents, and of course, Pat Riley and the entire Miami Heat organization. We at USA Basketball are beyond thrilled to make this announcement. And, Coach Spoelstra represents everything we strive to be. And so we're just grateful, thankful, ecstatic to name Erik Spoelstra as the next U.S. men's national team coach. Thanks, Coach.
Well, when we went out to dinner, Grant and Sean Ford and I, just right across the street, Grant started the conversation off by saying, hey, we would like to name you. And at that point I said, I'm in. It didn't matter what came after that. It's the honor of a lifetime. And my experience in the last 2 summers were so transformational. I understand the expectations and the responsibility of this position, but I'm thrilled to be the head coach. And you don't get to this point, obviously, without a lot of other amazing people. And, I do want to point to Nick Harrison. He's here somewhere. His dad, Mickey, they've created this culture. My father has been such a big impact in my life as a basketball person, but the greatest basketball mentor in my life has been Coach Riley. And I would never be in this position without the success that we've had here at the Miami Heat. We've had so many really good teams. We've been able to get to the mountaintop. And we are regarded as a winning organization, and that's because of the leadership from Mickey Harrison and Pat, and we become beneficiaries of that. So I'm so grateful for the opportunity of these 30 years to be able to work for the Heat, to have this opportunity with USA Basketball. And I do want to thank Grant and Sean and Jim Tooley for this opportunity, because there are a lot of amazing coaches out there. I understand that. I respect that. There's a culture with USA Basketball, and I know there will be thoughts about the culture of the Miami Heat, which we feel strongly about, but the culture of USA Basketball is one of a great history. It's a culture of service where you have the best American players that raise their hand, that say, I want to volunteer for this and represent our country at the highest level. There's a culture of a competitive spirit to rise to the challenge and to not shy away from these expectations. There's massive expectations when you put on that USA jersey. We've had incredible success over the years, and you want everybody to embrace that and not shy away from that. There's a culture of sacrifice where when you sign up for this program, that it's not necessarily going to be the role that you had in the NBA, even for players or staff alike. I think it's really important for staff members to come in like myself as an assistant coach or select team coach before that. That's part of the culture of USAB. It's all about coming together for a greater goal and a greater good. And then one of the pillars of USAB was really important for me in this decision. And I talked at length with Sean and Grant about it, and Steve Kerr, when I was asked to be an assistant coach for this last tour, the World Cup and the Olympics. But the pillar of being a culture of a family atmosphere. One, resonated with me because of our culture here with the Heat, but also because I have 3 young kids that I wanted to make sure that it was feasible. It's a 6-week commitment, for 2 summers. But the culture of family with USAB is simply remarkable. The experience that we had as a family at the Olympics will be memories that we'll have for the rest of our lives. So I couldn't be more thrilled about this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to the challenge.
Before we move forward, I think it's important that we invite some special guests in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025-26 Miami Heat.
Yes, Bo!
All right, I want to see Nico, Pella. I want you guys come to the front. Vlad, I want to hear it. Nico, I want to see it. Yeah, you too, Simo. Simo, I want to see it. All right. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you.
That's fantastic. They're handing out the flags, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was great to see the Canadian guys up front going hard. Going hard. Grant, let's start off our questioning with you. This is the most successful team in history. We're talking about 17 gold medals, 5 World Cups. As you were considering who's next for this role, what is it about Spo that gave you the confidence that he's the right person?
Yeah, well, as Spo mentioned, we do spend a considerable amount of time together during these journeys. And, I had admired him from afar, having played against his teams, knowing that they were well coached, they were prepared, they played basketball, of course, the right way, working in television, watching closely him from afar, but working with him for those 2 summers. His leadership skills, basketball intellect, ability to connect with people, players, his staff, his ability to collaborate. I mean, just kind of checked all the boxes. And I came away even more impressed with him as a coach, as a leader, as a man, as a father. And he's thrilled. We are thrilled. I mean, we got our guy. And we had that dinner, a few months ago to gauge his interest. I was nervous. I mean, this is we knew that it was a possibility. We had talked a little bit about it in theory, but I don't think I've been happier this year than when he said yes, I'm in. And so we're lucky that we have Coach Spo committed. As he said, there's some great candidates out there. We have some great coaches in the league, in the NBA. But we felt like we got the right guy here. And you think about the legacy of USA basketball and the coaches that have come before. You can go back to Hank Iba and Dean Smith, Bobby Knight, John Thompson, Chuck Daly. I'm probably missing some names. Coach K, I can't forget that name. And that's rarefied air. But he belongs in that conversation. So I'm just excited to kind of roll up our sleeves and get started. And we know it won't be easy, but we feel great about our leadership, our coaching, and about the upcoming international competitions we have in the next few years.
Spo, as we all know, the games are in Los Angeles in 2028. First time it's been on American soil since 1996. What does it mean to have the opportunity to be the head coach for these games?
Well, there's a great history, obviously, with USAB. And you have to understand the history of the program and how the program has had success over the years. Look, the game is where it should be right now. It is a global game. Players and teams are coming from every country in the world, and it's never been more competitive than it is right now. And that's where it should be. This is a beautiful game. The competition is what it's all about. And now, the competition for the 28 Olympics are on our home soil, and that absolutely has to excite you. We don't have to talk about yet, who the players will be. I mean, there's time, for that, but there is a call to action. Yeah. This is a time for the very best American players to raise their hand and want to play on this team because of what you've seen in the recent competitions. And part of that culture that I mentioned a few minutes ago, that's real. You have to want this. You have to embrace it. You have to absolutely feel alive by the challenge of all of it, and that's the beauty of it. And then I just also would like to make a personal note about that. Coach Riley's always taught me to think symbolically, right? Mm-hmm. And I do just want to make a nod to Coach. The games are in L.A., and that's where he had so much success over the years, and he's mentored me in so many ways that, I just think there is some synchronicity, to it, and I do want to honor him and honor USAB and honor all the Americans out there, and eventually have that team that everybody has so much pride in.
Grant, we can focus so much on the Olympics, but there's work to be done before that. In 27, the FIBA World Cup. The USA looks to improve on that fourth-place finish from 2023. And as Coach just noted, the international federations all over the world, they're all getting better every single year. So what will Spo and those players need to have the success that USAB has expectation-wise for FIBA World Cup?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Certainly, we all are excited about hosting the Olympics in 28, but the World Cup comes first. And unlike the Olympics, which you have 12 countries represented there and playing for a chance to win a gold medal, the World Cup, there are 32 countries, and it's a little bit of a longer stretch. You play more games, and it's hard. It's hard, and we have not fared well, as you said. We haven't medaled since 2014. So, we have an opportunity to improve upon that. Spo and I were together in Manila in 23 and went through that, the highs and the lows of that experience. I know I'll do better in terms of, putting together the best roster we possibly can. I've learned a great deal since that experience. But it won't be easy, but we're in it to win, and we understand the rest of the world has grown. The game is expanded as it should, and as I say, it's great for the NBA. It makes it tough for us, but we're not afraid of tough, and we welcome that challenge. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all, and that's the first order of business, and we strive to do better than what we've done in recent years, and that's the goal, and we'll get after it and do the best job we can.
Going to open the floor to questions. Please raise your hand and wait for the microphone. Before asking your question, please state your name and affiliation, please.
Joe Varden with The Athletic. I'm glad you guys were talking about the World Cup, because that's what was on my mind. Can you do better while still sending the younger players? I guess that's the easiest way to say this. The deeper way would be, do you plan on sending the same type of roster that you've sent to the previous two World Cups? And then for you, Spo, what do you think your role is in recruiting the next set of World Cup players?
Well, I'll start off. Look, we have some time, and one of the great things is to see who emerges. You know, you have 2 years before the World Cup, and it seems like every season there are players who take a step in their development and become better players, all-star players, players whose games translate in international play and FIBA competition. So, we'll continue to monitor that. And, I will say this about the World Cup. Last year's team, the team in Paris, the Olympic gold medal team, 7 guys on that team had participated in the World Cup. Going back to, LeBron and Stephen Curry, all the way to, in recent years, Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards. And so it's great to get these players in the pipeline and get introduced to FIBA play on the men's national team. And so, I'm excited. But the great thing is, yes, the world is getting better, but we are too. We still have some great players in this country, great young players. And, it's on me and to get out and recruit and, sort of share with guys the importance of doing this. There's been historically a bump with some players who go through that World Cup experience and then come back to the NBA and their games go to another level. And we saw it in 23, and I'm sure we'll see it again in 27.
Yeah, since we have time, like Grant just mentioned, I think I can speak to more of my experience as an assistant in the World Cup. It was invaluable. It's the same round ball. It's 4 lines, but the FIBA game is different. It's not the NBA, and the tournament is set up different. So all of these things have been a great case study for USAB to study over the years, and we feel our experience in these tournaments, help us to learn and be better. But it's officiated differently. The three-point line is different. There's no illegal defense. It's a single game elimination where a lot of the players have not been in a situation like that since the NCAA tournament, if they played in something like that. There are a lot of differences. Although it is the same game, the approach to it, is different because it's also a sprint. It's not a marathon of an 82-game season or even a 2-month playoff season. So we have time to study that, study what happened in the last few World Cups, and you can be assured that we'll get to work on that in due time.
More? Okay. I guess rather than keep going with roster questions for something 2 years from now, this is the 3rd coach for the U.S. team that we've had over the last 3 cycles. Pop, Steve, and now you. And Pop and Steve, obviously, they both felt that this was a one-cycle position. And I'm not asking if you're going to leave after the 28 Olympics, but why, in general, do you think that it's kind of gone this way, that you have a coach that does 1 World Cup, 1 Olympics, and then moves on for the next guy?
It's a good question. I can't speak for Greg Popovich. I wasn't aware of sort of what went into his decision. That was before my time. But I do know that, I guess about 4 years ago when I spoke with Steve, he only wanted to do 1 cycle, and so that was fine. And but we haven't discussed that at all. And we're not there yet, but we're focused on the World Cup. That's the first order of business, and we'll deal with that down the road.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. Grant, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Again, without getting into roster machinations, what's an ideal timeline? Like, when would you feel comfortable? I guess it's for Spo too, in many ways. When would you feel comfortable knowing what the staff will look like, starting the process of feeling out guys about their interest? Is there plans to do anything next summer? Like, how do you sort of see the next 24 months loosely, as far as a timeline for when you're going to feel comfortable knowing who's on what line of the roster sheet?
Yeah, no. In terms of staff, we'll probably wait till next summer to complete the staff, the coaching staff, and certainly work with Spo and Sean, and we'll figure that out. And Nothing on the docket for next summer in terms of mini camps or anything of that nature. We may get together and have a kind of a coaches staff summit for a few days. In terms of picking the roster, much like we did last time during the playoffs, maybe right before the playoffs in 2027. Ideally, it'd be nice to have that done before we went into the playoffs. I think we learned from the Olympics last year. It's just good to get that done. Less distractions for coach, for his staff, for the players. They can focus in and lock in on playing in the playoffs. So, nothing ever goes according to script, but that's certainly the game plan going forward with that.
Right here. Zachary Weinberger, Clutch Points. Question for you, Coach. Just kind of following in the footsteps of coaches in the past, like Steve Kerr, Pop, and the list goes on. What's sort of like the general feelings about that for you, especially being in the long list of great head coaches?
Well, I'm really grateful for the opportunity. When Coach K was the head coach in 2008, I went to the training camp because Dwayne was on the team. 2012, I went to part of the training camp. 2008, I was at the majority of the training camp. 2012, because of Dwayne and LeBron. And I was grateful just to see the practices and see how the team was ramping up for the competition. And then in 21, it was a great honor to coach the select team, which has its own legacy and history unto itself. But to see Coach Pop coach during that time, it was a harrowing time still. The COVID was still around. Players were coming in and out. You didn't really have a set roster for training camp. So the meetings for that camp, I was really grateful to Pop and Jerry Colangelo for allowing me to stick around after we played our games, just to see all the decisions that were made being behind the scenes. And then the last 2 summers, I just cannot describe how invaluable that was. And I'm grateful to Steve for that opportunity to be an assistant coach and then to be able to work with Ty Lue and Mark Few. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot. It was humbling in the World Cup. We were all experienced NBA coaches competing in a tournament that was much different. And we went to work, rolled up our sleeves, really studied the game, studied the teams, figured out what we thought would be the best plan, for our team. But that was like a coaching 101 summer, both summers. And I just really was appreciative for that opportunity. And we became close as a coaching staff, and it'll be one of my favorite memories, moving forward, just the times in between, with the staff. But all of those experiences are part of USAB, that you gain these experiences so you're not inexperienced when you go into the tournament.
Hey, Coach. Mike Cunio, CBS Miami. Congrats on the job. I'm just curious where along the way in that journey you were just talking about that you thought, or if it was ever even a goal of yours, to be the USA basketball coach. It's the 30 NBA job,
Never.
but there's one of these.
No, never. I never thought about it. You watch the Olympics, you see the USAB national team, you look at it in awe, the teams that Grant played on, or the Dream Team, or the select team that Grant played on. I mean, there's a history to USAB, and it's fun to follow that as a fan. But in no way did I ever think, as a young coach, that this would be a goal. You were thinking of the icons of the game. I mean, at some point, I hope I can say this, but at some point years ago, I thought Coach Riley should have been, the head coach. But to have this honor now, you do have to embrace everything that it's about, and it is the history. To understand the history, to understand the legacy, to understand the pressures of those who did it before you. I think it is important to study them, and I was able to talk to Steve obviously every day during that journey. I was able to see Coach Pop during that training camp, and I plan on talking to Coach K just to gather as much information along the way as you can, and they've all been very, very accommodating and nice about that.
Erik, can I just say something? Back in 2021, it was by design to have you stay around afterwards.
Oh.
It was by design to have you stay there with Pop. It worked. Thank you.
Erik, Giselle Espinales, NBC6 Miami. Have you had a chance to soak it all in, knowing the path to this, where you've gotten here from player, video coordinator, head coach of the NBA to now this? Have you sat down and really started to soak it all in?
No. You see that guy over there? He doesn't allow us to reflect at all. We had an amazing moment for the Hall of Fame when we were able to honor Mickey Arison. And for a weekend, we were able to tell stories and reflect on everything in the last 30 years and all the successes and all the fun, all the memories. But this is the life we chose. It's a whirlwind. All of this is happening while we're gearing up for our opener next Wednesday. And I love this life. I love coaching, love being a part of teams, love the challenge of getting a team to ideally compete for something greater than the individual parts, to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. I love all of that. So even this week where it's been pretty busy, that's when you feel most alive in this business.
We have time for a couple more questions.
Spo, you mentioned him earlier, but you've spent so much of your life around the game, and those early years, it was because of your dad out west. I'm curious if you could share what this might mean to him and what the reactions have been to this news of the people close to you.
It's meant a lot to the father-son relationship. It's been a bond of a lifetime, that round ball. I grew up in the business because of my dad. I'm always so grateful for that, and he always brought me along wherever it was, to whatever practice with the Portland Trailblazers or training camps or summer league or whatever. We had a lot of great conversations coming back from games. I believe most of the years my sister and I went to every single home game. That's during a school year, and then the drives back from the game, always dissecting what happened in the game. But also, I think I had role models that I wasn't even aware of at the time. The late Jack Ramsey, who was my first coach. Not my coach, but that's the team that I followed, and everybody revered him, in Portland. And he coached with grace and class and toughness that was so admired in the business. And then probably the coach that really sparked my interest to get into the business was Rick Adelman. I've told that story many times, but there were two families in the Blazer organization. Organizations were much smaller than they are right now. So when you see my kids running around, there were only two families in the Portland Trailblazers, and it was the Spoelstras and the Adelmans. And so we were always kids running around, and I was able to see Rick's journey and how he coached, and it became a model of something that I said, I think I want to do that. And when I finally told my dad that I wanted to get into this profession of coaching, he said, no, that's crazy. I've known all these coaches. They're amazing, when you talk to them and you have lunch with them, and then when they get into a season, he said, they are dark. He said, when you get to that point, please don't get dark.
Hi, Coach. This is Shai from Miami Heat. Congratulations first. And as a nation, America, you have already achieved a lot of firsts. Now you are the first Asian American coach for the USA basketball, and what do you feel like? What does it mean to you and your family?
Well, that's America, right? That's how I feel about it. I feel a sense of pride of being Filipino American, but you can look at however you want to look. You can come from any kind of background in this great country, and beautiful things can happen. So I am extremely grateful, and if that inspires somebody else along the way, I am all for that, and I take that, with a sense of pride and also responsibility.
Congratulations once again, Spo. Absolutely fantastic. Spo and Grant will ask you to stand for photos. Folks, thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of your afternoon.